Yawn? Okay, then. Yawn! Oh, God, the whole team! Haze. Oh, we lose the game, boys. It is over. That's the GG. I really enjoyed Pokemon Sword and Shield. The competitive was some of the most fun I'd ever had in the entire series. And the weird thing is, I can't quite put my finger on what made the battle so satisfying. The reduced decks definitely helped since there weren't garbage legendaries all the time and just non-stop BS, but also Dynamax, definitely more balanced than Mega Evolutions, and Z moves, kind of forgettable. So it was really cool that at one point in the battle, you could use an ace Pokemon, Dynamax it, and turn the tide, or you just had to be really strategic about planning around your opponent's Dynamax. It all came together for some of the craziest battles. Like, as I was going through the Master Rank in Pokemon Sword and Shield, I was just thinking, man, this is one of the craziest battles I've ever had in Pokemon, and that was just all session, every session. It was really cool. Unfortunately, like with any game that's been out for a while, you just start to see the same thing over and over again, and since Pokemon doesn't receive regular balance, those issues are just going to stay for the entirety of the game, and it made things a bit less fun. So I want to talk about the top 10 things that need to be changed for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet to make it the best Pokemon game, on top of its already confirmed open world free exploration. So I'm really looking forward to that, but if you just have the best competitive on top of it, it's going to be great. So let's start off with number 1, Yawn. Here's a yawntage of just a couple of clips from a couple of videos out of like the thousands of battles I did in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I feel like Slack Off should cleanse the yawn effect. It's like, I'm already chilling, I'm taking a break. I don't need to be tired anymore, I had my rest. He doesn't slack off, he dies here. Okay, we'll take a yawn. I'll get strong. Oh, the Lumberry is... Yawn? That's okay. Also, it wasn't Keyberry, so that's pretty nice. I'm pretty sure that Yawn ended up being the most common status move I faced, and that means you got a problem. I ended up going to like a Lumberry on my Dynamax Pokemon so that way I could eat the Yawn, wake up, set up, and then blow up the Pokemon, but it's not fun when you're kind of restricted into like, well, I need a Lumberry on my team, so I have the Yawn switch, so then I can set up and turn it around, especially when like Pokemon is just a completely random game, in the way that like, I don't know what Pokemon they're going to pick or even bring, and there's just a good chance you lose the battle at even the Pokemon select screen, because they just hard counter your team by pure accident. So having to like play around extra things like the Yawn doesn't really make it that, like, it just kind of removes the fun where it's like Yawn every single game, teams running multiple Yawns. It's pretty frustrating, so we need some kind of Yawn nerf. Now, as for fixing Yawn, I feel like there's a couple of things we can do, and the first one's kind of a cute idea that plays into the existing mechanics with Pokemon, because we've seen special interactions. Sound is effectively a pseudo-type that has different interactions on many different abilities and Pokemon and moves and stuff like that. Also, we have seen weird things with Minimize, to where like certain moves will just bypass Minimize entirely, and then deal bonus damage because that Pokemon used Minimize. So I feel like if a Pokemon uses Slack Off while drowsy, then that should just clear the effects of drowsy because it just chilled. It just relaxed. It should no longer be drowsy. Something like that could really work, or at least treating drowsy like a more respected status effect. Now, things got weird with Pokemon Legends, and since that doesn't have multiplayer, I don't really want to talk about that drowsy effect. And we also saw with Grimmsnarl's Gigantamax move that inflicts drowsy, so there's like more ways of applying it. And I feel like if it just kind of became accepted as a soft status condition, then there could be more counters and way of playing around it. I also believe that a Pokemon that wakes up initially from drowsy shouldn't be allowed to be yawned the next turn. And I think that's going to be a big thing for nerfing a lot of like problematic things. And we're going to talk about that later on as well, that if a Pokemon is free from the effect, they shouldn't immediately be able to be hit by that effect. You should at least get like one buffer turn. After that, we have Weakness Policy. Now, Weakness Policy still might need a nerf in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but it's not going to be as needed as it was in Pokemon Sword and Shield, because Dynamax kind of removed the gambit from Weakness Policy. You know, it's like, oh man, if I clutch out a super effective hit on a bulky Pokemon, now I can come back and be strong. Well, when you double your health under Dynamax, and you're also using moves to get effects on top of it, doubling your attack and special attack effectively for free, as a result of responding to counterplay is not that good of a thing, because going back to counterplay, yeah, hitting a Pokemon super effective damage is kind of what you need to do against Dynamax. But then like baiting that out for the free weakness policy and then just getting rolled over by it every single game, or in most games, again, now we have something that's more problematic than like, oh, but it's tech, or oh, but you gotta play around it. It's like, no, that's just abusive and it needs to go away, because how many times has this happened to you? It's like Dynamax, super effective move, weakness policy, and then they just get it. Like, cool. That's not fun, and hopefully because it was such a problem Pokemon Sword and Shield, maybe some consideration just make it +1. It kind of like does destroy the item, but some Pokemon are still going to be proficient on just the +1 without Dynamax, and then whatever gimmick is going on in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, maybe it's like, okay, we have to be careful of weakness policy now, because it can be very easily abused when it comes to competitive Pokemon. The next thing, this is probably the biggest one, is having custom battle rules, because the 20-minute timer that you can't do anything about when trying to battle a friend ruined Generation 8 just casual battles and even competitive, or just like trying to have PvP in Pokemon, and then we saw it with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. Most of my games, even if I'm not like playing tanky, or even if I'm not trying to set up for too long, would go to the 20-minute timer, and then no one is having fun. Getting stalled against is the worst feeling in Pokemon, because the other person's just being a scumbag. They cannot accept their defeat, and if we actually had like a balanced rule set or an enforcement of sporting conduct, then they would not have gotten the win. And the your time, in theory, makes it sound like, oh, well, it should be possible to like make the games not last that long. Cool. So you just have your time, and then you don't have any battle time limit, and eventually people are going to run out of time. It's that simple. But when you have your time being a quarter of the total battle time, and animations and Dynamax taking so long, it effectively doesn't matter. Someone that's realizing that they're starting to like slip into a losing position 10 minutes into the battle can just start strategically stalling it out, and that's it. They didn't deserve the win. It's just a broken time thing that's making battles less fun. If that's addressed, everyone's enjoying Pokemon battles, more people are playing competitive, Pokemon's just healthier in general, and I honestly believe that the 20-minute timer has destroyed a significant amount of the potential competitive Pokemon player base. Fix it, and maybe find a way to enforce stalling, but again, your time, it starts getting ambiguous. Something else that needs to be dealt with in Pokemon is bloat, because when you think about it, a ton of different field effects can be in play at once, and it's starting to get ridiculous. You got weather, you got terrain, you got a room, you got light screen reflect. You also have items that can then extend and boost the effects of those moves. Now we got too much going on. I feel like a very simple way of consolidating this is making it to where terrain and weather can compete. I feel like that opens up more strategic diversity than shutting it down, because like we saw with weakness policy, terrains and weather just became way too dominant and overwhelming, that it almost felt like something mandatory you had to play around instead of an alt strategy that used to like just pop up every now and then. I think it was really cool when it's like, oh man, a rain dance team showed up at VGC, but now it's, yeah, everyone's running like a terrain, an anti-terrain, and then some weather, and then an ability for that. To where now it's just like too common. So I think having that to compete with each other would mean that your strategy now becomes more dependent on the one thing you focus, and there's actually more counterplay around it. I've always believed that the room moves should override each other, that way there's more counterplay to Trick Room than setting up another Trick Room. It's like, nope, no items, or oh, some weird switched up stats, and it's not really for your own benefit, but to more disrupt the opponent and their Trick Room strategy. I think that just makes things a bit more interesting than like, yep, Trick Room, under a terrain, and then other nonsense, and that's just 80% of battles and doubles, and it's not really that much fun. And I also think it would be a cool idea to further reduce the bloat by just making like an Omni Rock that boosts the duration of all weather effects. And I feel like this wouldn't really disrupt anything except in like the 0.01% of teams that are running like a Heat Rock and a Smooth Rock. Those things just don't happen, so I don't really see the point of having like all of these different rocks that you need to collect and then manage on your teams, when just like, yeah, this is my weather Pokemon, I put the rock on it, that's my team, cool. So again, reducing just a lot of the field effects and conditions and nonsense that's been kind of getting bloated over the last couple generations, I think would be very healthy to the game. After that, something else that is shown to be incredibly problematic is Intimidate, and this is something I've been talking about for years. Intimidate should just be a field status condition, that while that Pokemon is on the field, That's it. That's like a flat -1, and I feel like the -1, -33% damage is too much, and it could maybe also have like some different interactions where it's like, alright, put an Intimidate Pokemon out there, while it's out, -25% attack against the opponent Pokemon. That's it. That'd be a nice way of cleaning it up, and it also means like the Intimidate switches to where it's like, oh, now you just like pummel your opponent down to like -3 attack and they don't get to play the game in both singles and doubles goes away, and I think that also reduces a lot of the strength of the problematic Pokemon like Landorus, like Arcanine, like some other Intimidators, where it's like, yeah, these Pokemon are all over the place. It starts feeling like an unfun liability to bring physical Pokemon when like we're in Intimidate heavy metagames than something like, oh, we'll just play around it, bro. At a certain point, it's like, yeah, man, let me get double Intimidate in the beginning, and now, like, my second Pokemon just doesn't exist in doubles, and you can just, like, keep switching it to stall out the already broken timer, and, yeah, that's just not fun. That doesn't make the game better, it only makes it worse, and I feel like a really cool solution, instead of, like, keeping track of all the pluses and minuses, towards, like, well, I White Herb that, and then I also got a Dragon Dance, but he intimidated me twice, so I'm trying to figure out where I am right now, even though, like, you can't, I know from in the battle menu you can see everything going on, but still just a lot of nonsense to deal with that can be really easily dealt with, oh, that Intimidate Pokemon's on the field, I'm dealing 25% less physical damage, it's not too much of a problem, but I still gotta worry about it a little bit. Boom. Everyone's having fun playing Pokemon. Now let's also talk about some other moves that need a little bit of attention or cleanup. Taunt has no reason to have 32 max PP. By nerfing it down to 8, you are not changing anyone's story experience, and if a tank Pokemon is able to survive 8 taunts, it deserves to set up at that point. This is just nonsense that makes no sense, and it gets to that point of abusive counterplay, where it's like, oh, there's no really way to like counter the taunt. So if you just have the tanky Pokemon, or if they bring multiple taunts and you're trying to set up just a little bit, you lose for free. Now, to be fair, Taunt used to be a liability because it ate up a valuable move slot for your Pokemon. With all the power creep and setup creep we've been seeing in like recent generations of Pokemon, it's not a liability. You are safe to bring Taunt. You are safe to bring Double Taunt. You are safe to bring like triple stall shutdown, like Yawn, Whirlwind, Taunt, and even more than that, and you just keep doubling up on it because, yeah, like the opponent, if they ever try to get any foothold in the battle, you shut them down. But then that just completely eliminates one style of play for free. I have not seen more Taunt, more Whirlwind, more Yawn in any other competitive format of Pokemon than in Generation 8, which shows that's a problem that needs to be addressed. Also, once again, like the Yawn, I feel like if a Pokemon gets taunted, it shouldn't immediately be susceptible to the taunt. And it would even be like a spicy nerf if a Pokemon could only be taunted once per switch, like while it's on the field. So like, I'm taunted, you fooled me once, bro, ain't happening again. You had, maybe even extend it, like that'd be wacky. It's like, okay, taunt lasts for an extra turn, but you just can't do it again until that Pokemon switches and comes back or something. Or again, one per taunt user. That way maybe it starts opening up some move slot problems again, and then like no +1 extra turn or something. Just taunt is way too abusive right now, and it's not fun to see just anti-tank stuff every single game because it's completely safe and abusive to run now. Same thing for the Haze. Why does Haze have 48 PP? Drop that down to 8. If a Pokemon could find a way of just like absorbing Haze 8 times, you either needed to bring another Haze because your team isn't equipped for tanks, or that Pokemon, that tank Pokemon that's been getting abused all game, deserves to win. If you weren't able to lock it out with 8 uses of Haze. We have seen Game Freak aggressively nerf status in the past, and that's actually what the rest of this video is going to be about. But I mean, we saw Thunder Wave, we saw Swagger, we've seen Minimize constantly get shut down, and then Confusion. This is one of the most egregious ones, where it's like, okay, Confusion going from 50% to 33%, that just makes playing around Confusion almost not viable. Actually, just not viable. Every time I've tried it since the nerf, it just never worked for me. It's not even like, oh man, I got lucky and I got the back-to-back Confusion and won a game. Those things just don't happen. The opponent will go through a full Confusion, not hit themselves once, and then you're now down a turn and potentially more because of the status you're trying to play around. Put it back to 50%. Completely destroying something as an option is not good game design. And even though people complain about RNG in Pokemon, Pokemon will always be a heavily RNG-based game. Oh, what's that? You like running Stone Edge? Well, 20% chance it misses and you lose the game. Scald? 30% chance you burn the opponent and win the game. you can't really make those things go away, and those aren't the things I'm complaining about. I'm not complaining about accuracy, I'm not complaining about all 30% chance nonsense on a lot of the moves. I'm just complaining about where you can see these inconsistencies. Game Freak overly nerfing things like Thunder Wave, Swagger, Minimize, but then keeping Yawn in a very strong state to where Yawn, it's RNG if you wake up after one turn of sleep, or if you're just down for the count and you lose the game, and they can just keep spamming Yawn for free. Also, maybe even an accuracy nerf to Yawn. That would be pretty significant. Taunt, maybe making that 80% accurate or something. Just give people a chance from getting completely shut out by just stupid moves. And the last thing I want to talk about for this video is reverting the Prankster nerf. Now, unfortunately, I feel like Game Freak isn't going to, like, revert changes that they've done in the past to improve the quality of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet battles, so this probably isn't going to happen. Prankster is just going to suck forever now, but that's kind of the problem. Like, much like Confusion, and much like the other things that have been tagged by Game Freak, it's just not that good anymore. It's not fun. You can't just, like, find a Prankster Pokemon, throw it out there, and then do what the ability is intended to do, mostly because Dark-type Pokemon are super powerful and super common. And then you give Prankster to a Dark-type Pokemon like Grimmsnarl, that just creates a mess, because now the Grimmsnarl mirror match is completely effed up. Any Prankster is just going to lose out to the Grimmsnarl, but that shouldn't be how you inflate the power level of a Grimmsnarl or something, who then has deliberately nerf stats, because you can't have something too tanky that gets the priority on status moves. And then Tyranitar and Hydreigon, they're just common in general. They're not more popular because, oh, now they can eat a Prankster hit. No, they're where they've always been, especially because they're super powerful Dynamax Pokemon as well. So the implications of just nerfing Prankster like this has made it to where, yeah, you just can't do much with it. On top of the Swagger nerf, Thunder Wave nerf, and other status RNG nerfs that we've seen. Why? Like, why just, like, hit something 5 times like that if you're going to introduce it the generation before? Either way, those are the changes I want to see in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I know it doesn't address all of the problems, but I feel like it will make Pokemon fun again, because in a weird way, over the last couple of generations, starting around Generation 7, it seems like Game Freak tried to make competitive Pokemon more serious, but in those decisions actually made competitive Pokemon a lot worse, less enjoyable, and even have less integrity from a competitive standpoint. I think it's time for the balance to not be taken as seriously as it has been, because it feels like, you know, Smogon players got into Game Freak and just started ruining competitive. It's like, oh yeah, we're just going to keep Intimidate strong, we're going to keep Taunt strong, and then we're just going to obliterate anything that has RNG, except for keeping the popular RNG things like move accuracy, Scald, crits, all those other things. It just doesn't make sense. I just want it to make sense. So if you end up enjoying the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below as the changes you agree with that I talked about, also some other things you'd like to see, and share this video with all of your friends that are into gaming, not even just Pokemon, just all of gaming. No other Poketuber is making any good content right now, so maybe it'll give them something to watch and get them interested in Pokemon as we get ready for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.